County Talk, welcome back to the channel for another episode of the League 2 Game Week predictions. This week is Game Week 12. As always, we ask you to put something in the comments to see if you can win a shout out next video. Last week was, again, predict the correct score of the Notts game. No one quite got it right. We had a 3-0 and a 3-2, but Notts did win 3-1 against Oldham in a really exciting game and a very, very good victory for Notts. This week, the Notts game is postponed against Swindon. An international break. We have a few players out on international duty. So no game for us. We've got a little break, see where we end up after this weekend with all the teams around us playing. So what we're going to do this week is, if you want to be able to chance being shouted out in the next video, we want you to comment the first team to score in the whole division. So that can be anyone. We don't need a correct score. We don't need goal scorers. We don't need, full-time scores. We just want to know the first team that's going to score this weekend. Who's it going to be? I'm going to go for Newport to be the first team to score, but let's see what happens. First game then is Accrington at home to Newport, who I've just said I think are going to score first. Newport, rock bottom of the division, not playing very well at all. Really, really, really bad run of form in terms of just, consecutive defeats. Accrington, a funny team, 2 defeats in a row, but then they beat MK and they beat Colchester as well. I worry for both sides. Newport is looking really bleak for at the minute. Scraped a point off us on the first day. Should have been, out of sight at half-time. Notts. But it's an interesting one. I've been a bit of a rogue pick for my first team to score this weekend. I think they will score, but I think they'll lose the game. I think they'll lose 2-1. Bristol Rovers against MK Dons next up. MK Dons off the back of a fantastic victory against Gillingham. And, their opponents, Bristol, are off the back of a defeat to Walsall, who are absolutely flying at the minute. So, good result for MK and a loss for Bristol, but not the most disappointing result, is it? I mean, they're playing a team that are absolutely flying this season. MK is starting to creep up the table. If you'd have looked 4 or 5 weeks ago, you'd have thought, they're lagging behind a little bit, and as it a repeat of last season, but they are starting to look up as well. Bristol, really, really slow start, peaked, did really well, and then have dropped off a little bit. I still think they're a good team this season. I still think they're a team to watch. My prediction at the start of the season was them to finish 3rd. I'm still going to go with that. But there's a lot of teams that are strong out there as well. Pointless to talk about the players that MK have got. Fantastic squad. I also think Bristol have a really good squad as well. I think it's going to be an interesting game. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. Some absolutely cracking games this week. Some really, really good matches. Chesterfield against Salford. Chesterfield, off the back of an absolutely crazy result, came out of nowhere against Colchester. They lost the game 6-2. Salford, off the back of a defeat as well. Salford are a good side, but I think Chesterfield a couple of times this season have shipped massive amounts of goals. I think of the 7 goals they conceded against Crewe as well, albeit not in the league. I think it's going to be a tough game. I think it's going to be a tough game to call. I just don't see Chesterfield, after what happened, coming out and being sluggish. I know some teams can get a hangover. I don't think Paul Cook will have them doing that. I do think they're a good side. I think they're not as good as some people make out. And Salford are really, really good. They came to Medley at the start of the season and just did a job on us, didn't they? I don't think they're going to go to Chesterfield and do a job. I don't think Chesterfield are going to be sluggish either, but I can't pick a winner in this game. I'm going to have to go for a 1-1 draw. Crawley at home to Walsall. 21st place plays first place. Walsall have conceded 9 goals all season. They have a very mean defence, and they are absolutely flying at the minute. Fair play to them. Look, I say it on every video that I've done recently. I tipped Sadler to maybe be gone now, and he's proven me wrong. Don't know if it'll be long term. I mean, at this point last season they were flying as well. I'm not sure how many Walsall fans thought they would be in this position, but 4 wins in 5, 17 scored, 9 conceded. They're just having a great start to the season. Crawley, I expected a lot more from them. I did expect a lot more from them. A few of the signings that they made haven't really lit the world on fire. I go against Walsall quite a lot because I think their bubble is going to burst at some point, and they're proving me wrong. I think they're going to go to Crawley and win 2-0. Crewe against Bromley. At this stage of the season, it's mad what a couple of games can do, isn't it? Oh, well, not more, a little bit more than a couple of games. Bromley were flying at the start of the season. Now they're winless in 5. Crewe fans were, pretty... they weren't exactly content with how the team were doing, and there are a few questions starting to be asked of the manager that in the past few seasons has done pretty well in spells. And all of a sudden they've won 2 games and they're into the playoff places, and very much chasing that top 3 spot. So things can change very, very quickly. I don't think Crewe are as good as their league position says they are. I'm not just saying that because I'm a Notts fan and we always seem to lose to Crewe. Bromley I think are a bit better than their league position suggests. I actually genuinely think they're quite a very, very solid team this season. The things I've seen them do against some really good sides in the division impresses me. All right, it's another tough one to call. I know I've called a few draws already. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Fleetwood Harrogate. Not the most exciting game on paper, and that's an understatement. Harrogate, they're just not. They just don't excite me at all. Fleetwood off the back of a very, very, very poor loss to Cheltenham. There's not many teams I see losing to Cheltenham this season, and Fleetwood have gone and done that. Is there going to be a response? I don't know. I mean, the performance against Cheltenham was poor. Harrogate, the away side, I don't see them really doing much in this game. I think it's going to be cagey. I think it's going to be 1-0 to Fleetwood. Gillingham, Cheltenham. A few weeks ago, no one could beat Gillingham. A few weeks ago, Cheltenham couldn't buy a win. Now they're going into the game with Cheltenham having won their last game, as I've just said, against Fleetwood, and Gillingham off the back of 2 defeats. So, they looked invincible against Notts, apparently, in that game. I thought there was nothing in that game, personally. But you'd think on paper, Gillingham breeze this and get a win. Buoyed by a new manager bounce, obviously, for Cheltenham. I think they're going to go and turn Gillingham over. Unbelievably. I've just said I don't think many teams are going to go and win. At Gillingham, I think it's going to be an absolute shock of the round of fixtures. I think they're going to go and win 1-0. Grimsby against Colchester. Really interesting one. Colchester, obviously, off the back of a massive, massive win. Grimsby are going about their business very, very nicely and have scored 9 goals in their last 2 games, 7 albeit against Cheltenham before their manager departed. Again, it's another one that looks like it's going to be an obvious home win on paper. I do like the look of Grimsby this season. I am disappointed with what I've seen from Colchester, and as the weeks go on, I keep thinking they're going to claw it back. Yes, there's a long way to go, but we're, a quarter of the way through the season pretty much. It will be after this week, a little bit over that. But I do just see a home win. I see a I see a 3-1 win for Grimsby. Shrewsbury against Cambridge. Cambridge 4 without defeat. Shrewsbury 4 without a win. Shrewsbury in big trouble. Massive trouble. If you've listened to any of our predictions from myself, George, Will, Jordan, we really don't rate them this season. I did at the start of the season, but I'm concerned for them. They're sat in that bottom 2. They've scored 7 goals. They've got a minus 13 goal difference. They've conceded 20. And I don't see how they win this game, even as the home side. I'm going to go 2-0 Cambridge. Tranmere Barnet. Barnet 4 games without a defeat. Tranmere, the side that, 4 or 5 games into the season looked like people couldn't score past them. And Notts went there and they got 2. And ever since then, I'm not saying this has anything to do with Notts, but ever since then, they've just started to crumble defensively. They've conceded 15 goals this season. And let's not forget, one of their games was postponed. So they've only played 10 games. Look at their last few games. They're not in a fantastic bit of shape. I know they're the home side in this. And Barnet are now starting to pick up form. A lot of people tipped Barnet for top 3 this season. Quite a lot of people did genuinely tip them. I don't see them that high. I had them bang on mid-table. I might be sort of redoing my predictions and putting them a little bit higher now. I think they're a good side. And I think there's a little bit of a spiral going on at Tranmere right now. I think Barnet go win 2-1. Final fixture of the game week then is Oldham against Barrow. Now, Oldham played Notts last weekend. And Notts looked really, really good. Oldham looked like they had a game plan, but the game plan just didn't work. They didn't concede, many goals at all before we played them. We put 3 past them. And that, before that game, there were quite a few games unbeaten, some wins and some draws in there. So they're a decent side. I think they'll match up really well against Barrow. Barrow, 7 points on the last 9, albeit their last game was a 0-0 draw against Shrewsbury, which they would have definitely felt they could have picked up 9 points from 9. I think this will be a really good match. I'm going to give this my gold star game. I think it's going to be an absolute slog, but I think it could be interesting. It could be exciting to watch. That being said, who do I see winning in the final match of game week 12? Oh, it's really tough. I'm going to go for an Oldham win. I'm going to go for a home victory in this one, and I'm going to go for a 3-2. I think it'll be a really, really good game. That does wrap up my game week 12 predictions. As I said, Notts is postponed against Swindon. Will it be a good postponement? I don't know. You go into a side in form like Swindon, and it's postponed, and we may play them when they're in a bit of a bit of an off, have an off day or a bit of poor run of form. I don't know. But with no Notts game, as I've already said, you cannot put that in the description as your prediction. I want you to predict who's going to be the first team to score this weekend. I'm going for Newport. Let's see if anyone else backs it with me. Please do leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and if you've got fans of any other clubs, share it with them. Share it with them and let them see if they agree with my predictions.